Hey guys. So, an article, well, article, I can pronounce the words here. An article came out not that long ago. Matter of fact, in the past 24 to 48 hours, from PWI Insider and their podcast, their radio show, that reported that the reason WWE has not taken the time to create new stars, basically stars that would really get you attracted to the product, like they had done in the past with those of a Stone Cold Steve Austin, a Rock, a Hulk Hogan, a Bret Hart, you name it. Randy Savage, and so on. An Ultimate Warrior. You get the point. But according to this article, the reason WWE hasn't created any new stars is because Vince McMahon doesn't trust anyone. And the only exceptions out of that, in the past 13 to 14 years, the only exceptions have been Randy Orton and John Cena. They are the only exceptions. They, along with those that they bring back for a pop, a nostalgic pop, or for a ratings pool, or whatever, are the only ones that Vince trusts. And apparently, from what I read in this article, from what they reported, this beginning of distrust, this beginning of not wanting to create any mega stars anymore to give the ball and allow to run with it, is all due to what Brock Lesnar did back in 2004. You see, Brock Lesnar was given the moniker the next big thing. Basically, WWE, by giving Brock Lesnar that moniker, was basically stating, here's our next big star. Here's our next cross-media superstar. Our next Austin. Our next Rock. Our next Hogan. Our next Taker. Whatever. That's how they viewed Brock Lesnar. But what did Brock Lesnar decide to do? Brock Lesnar decided in early 2004, around springtime, to basically take his ball and go home. Or take his ball and go try other platforms. And that's what he did. After WrestleMania 20, he left World Wrestling Entertainment unceremoniously, someone might say, and went and tried his hands in the NFL with his home state team of the Minnesota Vikings, which I did bear witness to on television because they did show him in a Vikings uniform. And then later on, he tried his hand more successfully in the world of mixed martial arts, starting in places like with Pride FC, and then later on UFC, and so forth. Until finally, Triple H was able to, I guess, make some magic happen behind the scenes 6 years ago when he started to really get into power with the whole NXT deal and bring Brock Lesnar back. Yeah. That's how long it took Brock to return. Now, did Brock still wrestle even after he left? Absolutely. He competed in New Japan Pro Wrestling. After he had a hand in football, and in between that and his run with mixed martial arts, he decided to step back in the ring for New Japan. And he competed for New Japan and became one of the IWGP champions, and he even had a rematch of sorts for that championship with Kurt Angle. So yeah, Brock Lesnar still competed in wrestling, still wrestled outside of WWE, even after he left, I should say. But this is what kind of kept him away a lot longer and kind of strained the relationship between both sides, him and the WWE, for the next, like I say, 5 to 6 years. Or 6 to 5 years. The reason being is because Brock Lesnar was still somewhat under contract to WWE. How can this be, you might ask? Well, quite simple. Brock had some kind of deal still with the WWE that basically stated that he could not compete for any other wrestling company while he was still under contract. And his contract apparently was supposed to go up until at least 2006, I believe. Or whenever he competed for New Japan, because according to a lot of legal issues, he competed for the company while he was still under contract or some kind of working agreement with WWE. Anyway, long story short, it's all due to what Brock Lesnar did back in 2004, that according to what PWI Insider reported, that Vince has a hard time trusting anybody to be his next big star. Because, as I said, that next big thing moniker that they gave to Brock wasn't just something to play onto, how he was in the ring, and how he looked, and all that. No. Or how he was presented and all that. No. That was a legitimate moniker WWE gave because they saw big things for this guy. They saw this guy as being the next Rock, being the next Austin, being the next Hogan, being the next Andre, perhaps, being the next Taker. You get it. You get what I'm saying. But what happened? But what happened in the end? Brock Lesnar, as we all know, took his ball and went elsewhere. So basically, according to PWI Insider, to answer anybody's question as to why WWE doesn't create new stars, there's your answer. Vince McMahon doesn't trust anybody. Especially if a majority of his top stars, in a sense right now, made a name for themselves in other promotions. Like, you can't tell me that Vince McMahon doesn't know about, or wasn't informed and doesn't know about Dean Ambrose and Seth Rollins' past experiences in places like Ring of Honor and Combat Zone Wrestling, where they became household names in those promotions by themselves. And you can't tell me he doesn't especially know that about AJ Styles achieving that same thing, if not more so, with Impact Wrestling, aka TNA, for the past 12 years he was there. And the same with Samoa Joe. It's guys like that. It's men and even sometimes women like that make it hard for Vince to trust anybody to make them into his next big stars, his next big things, if you will, to be that cross-media star that everybody will know and everybody will associate with WWE or associate with WWE, and everybody will want to tune into WWE, give it a chance if they're probably new to it, just to see that person. It's all because he doesn't know if he can trust them. He doesn't know if he could trust, let's say, an AJ Styles, when his contract comes up in a few years, to not want to stay or go back to Impact Wrestling. He doesn't know if he could trust Daniel Bryan, who nobody really knew, whose future, as far as a lot of folks were concerned, was kind of in doubt and didn't know whether or not he was going to stay or go, because of his past accomplishments outside of the company. So yeah, basically take all that, of all those men, of all those male superstars that I've mentioned, even some of the female superstars as well. Like, you can't tell me he's not worried about a Becky Lynch. you can't tell me that he's not worried about an Ember Moon or a Mickey James on whether or not they'll want to leave and go back to wherever they made names for themselves. You can't tell me that he's not worried about that, because he is. And that would explain, like I said, why we haven't had any big time stars being made. I mean, you have Ronda Rousey under contract in this company, and yet she too falls under that category of not being trusted, because Vince doesn't know that after her contract's up, if she'll not want to go back to mixed martial arts. He doesn't know that. He doesn't know that. And that is why, from what I understood by reading this article, why Vince McMahon has not allowed anybody to be, allowed anybody from male or female to be dubbed as his next big cross-media stars that people will recognize and just want to tune into WWE to see those individuals, to see that male or female star, because of how they're presented and how cross-promotional and appealing that they are. Because again, he doesn't know whether or not he can trust them, especially because of what Brock Lesnar did to him, 14 years ago. And, some people could say, well, they got Brock to come back. That should be water under the bridge, right? Here's the thing about WWE. It could be water under the bridge for all they're concerned. But in truth, Vince is still not going to forgive or forget. That's his thing. Either it's a play on words that he and Stephanie and Triple H use on camera as part of their characters, or it isn't. It's true to their real life, outside of the ring, behind the scenes, working in the Stanford offices, life. It is they don't forgive and they don't forget. They can act like, oh, I forgive you for what you did, let bygones be bygones. Yeah, they can act all chummy like that all they want, but in truth and reality is they don't totally forgive. Or more so, they don't really forget what happened. So it's more along the lines of they might forgive, not a lot. Mostly someone like a Vince McMahon may forgive, but not totally. But mostly they won't forget. And that's why Vince, apparently, according to this article, doesn't trust any superstars right now, because he doesn't know if they're going to pull a Brock Lesnar on him like he did back in 2004, take his ball and go elsewhere. If Vince basically is going to trust this is what it's going to take for this to change for Vince. And that is, if he's going to trust any of these men and women, they basically got to look him dead in the eye, maybe write a contract, shake hands, whatever, and say, hey, I am fully committed to staying here, fully committed to being your next big star, and that's it. And you can only imagine the men and women in NXT right now that are probably reading about this, hearing about this, thinking, okay, if I go up to that main roster, how am I supposed to get an opportunity to be the next big star in this company if he's not going to fully trust me? See what I'm saying? So, yeah, basically it comes down to the fact that Vince doesn't trust anybody. Not even his own WWE superstars. Because of what Brock Lesnar did to him 14 years ago. Again, he might forgive Brock, but he doesn't totally forgive him. Because in reality, he may forgive, but he don't forget. So, yeah, if you want to look it up, you can Google it, but apparently according to PW Insider, the reason we haven't seen any new real stars being made is because of what Brock Lesnar did 14 years ago. That's basically about it. So that's really all I'm going to say on this news article. Let me know what you guys think down below. Comment if you like, but yeah, that's literally when you think about it. And I'll be honest with you before I shut this off. When I read this, I was shocked a little bit, but then as I read it more, I was like, well, I'm not really that shocked. I mean, I was surprised that the reason we haven't seen new stars being made is because Vince doesn't trust anybody. But the more I read it, the more I kind of let it sink in and go like, yeah, that does kind of make sense for someone like Vince. not to trust anybody, especially if some of those big stars right now used to make names for themselves and used to make reputations for themselves in other promotions where they got worldwide recognition. Because he doesn't know whether or not they may want to go back to those promotions after it's all said and done. And especially when you take a look at what's going on with Chris Jericho right now, whether Vince okayed it, Vince is cool with it or whatever, you can't tell me he's not happy with that. So, that's really all I'm going to say, guys, on the situation. But yeah, according to PW Insider, the reason Vince doesn't want to make any stars, it's all about trust issues. So, let me know what you guys think down below. Comment if you like. I'll talk to y'all later.